like if you're trying to be like a rock band and you're generally riding like the wave of like a Beatles style of song, then you've probably got a decent thing going there, right? Mm-hmm. Like you have an understanding of like what a good song sounds like, right? But you have to pair that with this marketing enthusiasm and like a little bit of savvy when it comes to like, getting your name out there, and like branding is a huge thing. Like I'm sorry to say it, but like anyone that isn't considering that as part of their agenda in terms of how they promote themselves and get themselves out there into the world is, in my opinion, doing themselves a huge disservice. And I don't know, it doesn't have to be like a really big thought out thing, but there has to be something there, because there's only so many people that are going to be really lucky to strike gold. Only a couple,
I'm lucky that I got a producer that helps me out and helps with the branding. And I'm all over, like you kind of said earlier, I'm one of those people, I'm all over the place. I was even talking about doing like a Ghost Hunters type thing on my show. And he's like, dude, stick with one thing. Do this one thing and don't go bouncing around because people are going to lose interest. I have the followers growing, so stay with it. I think the formula, though, is don't suck and be good on social media, and then you'll be all right, right?
That's a good balance.
That's good.
I can tell you, though, being in a band, like, it's a relationship, right? But there are some people who just don't give a damn about doing any marketing, any social media, but they're great, excellent musicians, and that's enough for them. They don't care about doing any of the other shit. And I always like to draw this simile, if you will, where when you're in a band, you're in a boat, right? But if only two motherfuckers are doing the rowing, you guys aren't not going to get anywhere.
Nope.
And so every single one of the guys in the band has to row that boat in order for the boat to go upstream, so that you guys can have success.
That's good.
I mean that's a great analogy, and I've been in a number of bands over the years, and it's typically true. Like there's generally only like a couple of people, sometimes even just one, kind of driving everything. Now there are bands that I've been in where everyone's kind of carrying their weight, or like everyone's got like an assigned, maybe specialty or something like that. And that generally does serve a lot of good purposes for a band in terms of being able to move faster, like if one person really dedicates their time to like all the branding and like the marketing and like the logos, and like another person is only booking shows, and like another person is like the main songwriter or something like that. Like you could even be the person who is like the tour manager, like that's what you're good at, so you handle those duties. If everyone's, like you said, like pulling their weight and spreading the workload out, that certainly helps, because man, the burnout is real. Like when I've certainly been that person in bands before, where I'm like, dude, I'm like doing all this work, and like I know that you appreciate it, and that's fine that you appreciate it, but I'd like you to kind of do some of it too. Like,
I know.
That's what's cool about a podcast. We're going to talk about that also. You kind of just get to do it. I have a regular co-host also, but still, it's like a lot of it's just, if everyone left, I'm still doing it. But I do want to play the first band, Neck Scars. And what do you want to say about Neck Scars and the video?
Sure. Well, they're a band out of New York. They're one of my more recent, signings, for lack of a better word. They're like a great kind of punk rock, kind of post-hardcore band out of New York. Really great band if you're into bands like Hot Water Music or like Leatherface or Nothington, Dead to Me. Kind of like gritty vocals a little bit, but like really good, tight musicianship. Their album's going to be coming out this summer, and this first track is great. It's a great representation of what they're all about.
And this song is called Jarring, correct?
Yeah.
All right, let's check it out right now. Here we go.
Let's do it.
Do it.
Your hands are over my neck. this happening again? They try to make you quit. They want you to just give in. This abusive lack of trust, a family that's done no wrong, and I think I'm finally stuck. Addicted, the power you learned to love. They try to make you quit. They want you to just give in. This abusive lack of trust, a family that has done no wrong, and I think I'm finally stuck. It's abusive lack of trust, a family that's done no wrong, and I think I'm finally stuck. Accept these flaws, tell them all. I'll give you one last fall, breaking down over again. Help me know what I did. Accept these flaws, tell them all. I'll give you one last fall, breaking down over again. Help me know what I did. I don't know how I got home. I don't know how I got home.
Yeah, man. That is super cool. I'll tell you, if the drummer ever quits and the whole band moves to Oklahoma City, I'm their guy. I'm their guy to do that. I do want to change the focus a little bit. We are going to play Decent Criminal here in a little bit, but I do want to change the focus onto your podcast, Question the Answers, which is a super cool name for a podcast. And I've seen a couple of your episodes. What's your main objective for having the podcast?
Well, the podcast kind of started as an idea of mine to just really try to showcase different types of individuals within the music scene. Not so much focused only on musicians themselves, but the fact that there are people out there who are within the music scene who do a lot of work within the music scene that sometimes don't always get like the same type of, I guess, being showcased, being showcased the same way. So like, for instance, like people who promote shows or like own venues that host shows, right? Or, maybe like a person who's like a booking agent who does that as their job. I mean, that's a key role in like the music scene. Or potentially like somebody who runs like a PR agency, who helps with like public relations and getting media, like press and stuff like that. I mean, all these people oftentimes are also musicians. So I figured it would be kind of a great way to, strike a balance between talking about the musicians, talking about their albums, but also talking about the other work that goes into being part of the music scene. So like every now and then, I'll have just a band that has no other either role or they don't have like another job within that. But more often than not, I try to change it up and keep it a little bit different and focused on the different players that play a part within the music scene as a whole. Yeah.
It's so different too as a podcaster, and you can appreciate this, and you'll know it also. And Los, I don't know if you were co-hosting with me, but I don't know if you've actually ever been a guest on somebody else's podcast, but it is totally a different feeling from actually doing the podcast yourself. Now, co-hosting is probably the same feeling, right, Los?
Oh, absolutely, dude. It is very, very. It's just a different hat that you have to wear when you're going on as a guest, And yes, I have been on people's podcasts as guests, and yeah, I mean it's a fun little distraction. Mm-hmm. What I wanted to ask Andy was, you know, you're in Tsunami Bomb.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing your record label. You added on a podcast. I mean, what made you want to start this podcast, and how long have you been doing it?
The podcast started last year. It's something that I had flirted with doing for a while, like maybe a couple of years, but I hadn't really come up with what I felt was like a good enough, I guess, theme, you know? Because I think much like with, you know, running a label or like doing like a band, like you kind of want to pick like a genre to like, you know,
right, like a niche.
Yeah, like a niche, sort of a niche.
Right.
Yeah. And like I knew music would be probably my most like, you know, like my easiest route to go. But within music, there's so much to talk about. And so it took me a while to kind of figure out, okay, well, what is it that I'm going to showcase? And so once I came up with the idea, it's like, well, maybe I'll just talk to people who like do these different things. And like, you know, maybe that will be interesting to people. And I mean, you know, it's been like not only a way for me to reconnect with a lot of people, because fortunately, you know, being in a band and being in bands over years, I've made a lot of connections. I've made a lot of friends, and like, most of the people that I've had on the show, in some way, I've either known or met over the years. Some of which I had never met before in my life, like they kind of came to me through different avenues. But I'd say like at least half of the guests that I've had on the show are people that I already had some sort of connection with. But another reason was kind of just to give me something to do, because during this whole pandemic thing,
COVID,
like I had extra time. Now, mind you, like I'm currently without a job. Like I'm unemployed at this point. But for the majority of the time during the pandemic, I was working full time. So I had to balance my full-time job during the day with doing the label. The band, you know, had taken a back seat. So that kind of freed up a little bit of space, a little bit of time in my day. So with that extra time and me being at home and just kind of thinking, dude, I kind of want a project, you know?
Yeah.
So
that's why I started mine too, is I was kind of bored and I like music, you know, just like you. Now Decent Criminal, this band has been on okay. He's really Decent Criminal, and I'm more
represent, baby. I'm sorry. I got to, pop a
That's Bill.
Since we're all representing, I got
to represent something. Decent Criminal. I saw Mark McGrath. Is it Mark McGrath or Mark McGrath?
Mark McGrath, right?
Yeah. He did a blind reaction video and was full of compliments while he was watching the video. So how did that even happen?
Well, so I was surprised by it. Apparently, I think either a friend of the band or just somebody. I don't. Maybe it was even somebody in the band. But somebody used that Cameo service, like you've heard of Cameo, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So they paid to have Mark McGrath do a blind reaction to the song.
Oh, cool!
Super interesting.
Yeah, from what I understand, there are some people on that service that are willing to do that, and then there's others that are like, we won't do that. Like,
we're just gonna give a shout out. That's it.
Yeah, like if any, because the whole Cameo thing, from what I understand, is supposed to be like you basically hire them to like send a special message to somebody, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But Mark McGrath's like, fuck it, dude. I'll do a blind reaction, whatever, dude. Just give me the cash, And what was great about it,
motherfucker, give me the cash.
Well, hey man, fuck, dude. If I was in his same position, dude, I would do the same thing.
Yeah,
hell yeah.
But what I really loved about it was like, I think he genuinely,
I do too,
really liked the song, and like he had a lot of great things to say about it. Like the comments he was making, I thought were really tasteful and like actually really accurate. Like so like the way he was describing it, I'm like, dude, that makes a lot of sense. Like that's a really good review of the song. So like I think he genuinely dug it. So
I remember he was like in was Sugar kind of like a punk band anyways, like started off kind of punk rock?
Yeah, like back in the day, Sugar Ray was kind of like this, I guess, pseudo like hard punk rock band, and then eventually like, he did like the whole indie pop.
Yeah, band. But he still knows what he's talking about when it comes to punk rock.
Yeah,